Hey Snapchat, I read a blog post today on a business that failed recently, and I want to talk today about business failure and planning for success. The beauty of Snapchat is I can give you my quick response to it. I'm going to try to write it up as a blog post later this week and get in more details, but today I'm going to do it just on Snapchat. My summary of the blog post is the reason they failed is they didn't raise enough money, didn't raise it quickly enough, and didn't hire enough senior people. Without knowing the personal circumstances, I can never know, but my takeaway from reading it was nearly the opposite, which is the reason for talking today. One of the biggest mistakes I see startups make is not being thoughtful enough about the value that exists in the market they're chasing. And that's why every great VC starts with, is this a valuable enough market? Is it a big enough market opportunity? I'm looking for, is this a market where you can create a solution that's significantly better? And if you do, is there enough money that will be attributed to you? I talk often about a company I funded called MakeSpace. It provides storage, which is a $27 billion market. The existing providers in storage are all incumbents like Public Storage or Manhattan Mini Storage. It's a terrible product that consumers hate. So it's up to us at MakeSpace to deliver a 10x experience. But if we do, we know that on average, people are spending $150 per month already for a shitty product. Of course, that's just my example for you. Ask yourself the question, if we win, who's going to pay us money and is it valuable enough to those people? You also need to look, number two, at the existing incumbents. How easy will it be for them to respond to you? This is covered best in Clayton Christian's book, The Innovator's Dilemma, which is that big companies with expensive products in big markets have a hard time responding. Not because they're slow, but because responding will undermine their existing business model. Those are the people to go after. Going back to my example on MakeSpace, people like Public Storage simply can't respond because they have physical infrastructure that costs more, so centralization wins. And part of the problem I see with the startup culture today is so many companies have the idea that we can just quickly launch and learn and see what happens. Running really fast at a market and launching and learning has problems because if you're headed in the wrong direction, what's the point? You're going to waste your time and money. I've been saying for several years that I think founders have gotten lazy. And what I mean by lazy is not being thoughtful enough about the value of their markets before spending time and money. And frankly, our whole ecosystem encourages this by incubators and demo days. And let's just get stuff to market. Let's throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And the exception doesn't prove the rule. Just because Twitter, just because Slack kind of unexpectedly took off and no one knew what the business model was, doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. Many incubators can do well on this model because if I have 50 companies and one piece of spaghetti sticks, that works out okay for me. But I don't recommend it for most founders. For most founders, do the hard work. Measure twice, cut once. And the blog post I allude to kind of says, well, just raise more money and go really hard, and if it doesn't work, at least you'll die early. There's a problem with that. Number one problem with that is you're wasting other people's money. That's real money that you're spending, running at a wall that you haven't thought much about. And number two, you're callously thinking about other employees' careers who join your cause that you simply haven't been thoughtful enough while you're heading quickly at a wall. So yes, startups are about experimentation. It is okay to try new and novel and innovative ideas. All I'm suggesting is do the work up front. I'm not saying you always need to know exactly how you're going to make money or how much money, but if you haven't given it a moment's thought, it's simply a project. And that's my short tips on Snapchat today for how to start a company. Be thoughtful, do a plan, assume if you have a big market, think about how incumbents will respond. And also look at the other people who came before you. Who else has failed in music, in restaurants, in whatever marketplace you're going after? What can you learn from their failure? And don't be afraid of taking on big, hairy, incumbent markets that may have complexity, may be less sexy. Also be thoughtful about what Clay Christensen said. Compete with non-consumption. Find market opportunities that are open. That's what our portfolio company Ring did in creating a new security doorbell with motion sensor and a new product that didn't exist. When people said to Jamie Siminoff, can't drop cam, just do that, he had all the responses of why our product was more specific to a market need. And he knew really fundamentally he was up against giants like ADT, ultimately, not so much just competing with existing tech markets.